Hello and welcome everyone. We're just getting a few people into their seats. While they're doing so, please open your phone, scan the QR code at the top of the screen there, and check in through our Huddle app for the session as we get started here. All right. No. All right, we will get started here and officially kick things off. I'm Madeline Kendrew. I am the Director of Founder Success here at Platform Calgary, and I'm absolutely thrilled to welcome you all. And this is the official kickoff for Innovation Week. Let's start off by giving a big round of applause to all of the incredible thought leaders, panelists, workshop facilitators, startups, and all of you that have made day one such a success so far. Thank you. And for those of you who might be new to this building, this is more than just a space, this is more than just a parkade. It is the front door to Calgary's vibrant innovation community. This center is the physical home of Platform Calgary, and we bring together the resources of Calgary's tech ecosystem with the bold vision of making Calgary the best place in the world for anyone to start and grow a tech company. We are here today because we all believe in that future. And speaking of that future, we are so excited to be gathered here for Calgary Innovation Week. This is a city-wide celebration showcasing the incredible depth and diversity of what is happening in tech and innovation across the city. For the next several days, you'll have a front row seat to this energy, showcasing bold ideas, breakthrough technologies, and the innovations driving them. It's a collective showcase of the city's entrepreneurial spirit in action. We hope you take full advantage of the energy and opportunities throughout the week. Before we officially begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge that we're gathered here today on the traditional territories of the peoples of Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. This includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising of the Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, as well as the Yahe, Nakota, and Tsuut'ina First Nations. This land is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We honor and respect the history, languages, ceremonies, and culture of the Indigenous peoples who have called this home for many generations. This has been a meeting place for many people for thousands of years, and is an important part of our shared history. We too are gathered here today to learn, connect, and build a strong and inclusive future for all who choose to live, work, and play in this wonderful city. Without further ado, please join me in giving a really warm welcome to our interim CEO of Platform Calgary, Jen Lucier, to take the stage.
Thank you. It is my absolute pleasure to be here welcoming you all to Calgary's largest citywide celebration of all things tech and innovation. I need the clicker. Sorry. None of this would be possible without our presenting sponsors. First of all, UFC, our overall presenting sponsor for Innovation Week. Give it up. Alberta Innovates, which is our top 10 presenting sponsor. Dell Technologies, which is our launch party sponsor. And of course, last but not least, Digital Journal, our media partner for this event. Keep that applause going. There are so many other organizations that are supporting this entire week. Thank you so much for your support. So Innovation Week is an entirely grassroots initiative, and this year we put in place a steering committee. This committee guides the themes, the topics, and we have an incredibly curated content calendar for 3 days. And I just want to say thank you so much. We've got representation from academia, from community builders, from industry here, and from startups. We also have over 50 organizations that are participating in sessions throughout the next 3 days. So big round of applause. There's going to be lots of clapping in this presentation, just heads up. So I'm going to start and just talk about some of the stats on how Calgary is doing, how we're measuring up globally in the sector. We live in a city that is the top 10 emerging ecosystems in North America, top 50 in the world. We've risen 50 spots in the last 5 years. Economic impact is how ecosystem value is economic impact, and that's currently sitting at 6.7 billion. We also live in a city that is the fastest growing tech talent hub in North America, with over 24,000 jobs created in 3 years, highest growth rate of tech talent in any major market in North America. And we live in a city where, in the rest of North America, where investment is declining by almost 50%, we are punching above our weight and growing by 26%. You can see some numbers on the screen here. The first half of 2025, we're already ranked third in Canada for number of deals and fourth in Canada for number of dollars raised. So how is Platform, come on in. How is, shrink into the middle. How is Platform helping and supporting some of these numbers? Well, first off, we've supported over 4,000 founders directly in entrepreneurial educational programming since 2023. We've had 300,000 people through the door on this stage since we opened in 2022. We've had over 1,000 events so far in just in 2025. That's 4 a day with a very small events team. There's our events team. And we continue to collaborate relentlessly. We partner with as many of organizations in Calgary as we can, and we work with the Calgary Innovation Coalition to share out these resources to get them in front of the founders that need them. We also back these partners with space, event infrastructure, and it's their home. $1.7 million in kind to all those listed on the previous screen. But really, what is at the root of that 6.7 billion in economic impact that we're driving? It's the tech companies themselves. Of 1,300 tech companies in Calgary, about 800 of them are members here. In 2024, they generated 235 million in revenue, which is self-reported, so therefore underreported. They've generated 323 million in investment, and they create over 50,000 jobs. So those are the stats. We measure, we monitor, report to our funders, all the things. We track everything, super important. Those are the stats. But this is the community behind those stats. Take a good long look. This is what all those stats actually looks like. These are founders, dreamers, doers, builders, fortifiers, helpers, backers, amplifiers, drivers. And I couldn't be prouder to be having these people gather in the way that they do here. We do a lot at Platform to try to serve the community at scale, but one thing that we will not do is ever ignore a human connection to another amazing human connection. That's our ultimate KPI, that's what we do here. Please clap for that. Now there will be a short pause. Sorry. And speaking of amazing humans, these are the top 10 startups that have been nominated for this year, for 2025. You'll be able to see them throughout the week here. They'll also be showcased at the Launch Party Top 10. You can go and learn more about them. We've got photonics, which I knew nothing about. We've got EdTech. We've got AI industry-powered solutions around operations and efficiencies. We have redefining redefining dining experiences that connect into an urban setting, and a really cool health tech solutions in this, both software and hardware. And these are the faces behind those top 10. Are there happen to be any of you here right now?
Jason's right there.
Yes! Okay, so what I was gonna do is say, if you see your picture up here, stay seated. And if you don't, stand up and let's applaud the risk takers and builders and resilience of the people that are here building companies.
Well done.
Nice. So in closing, I just want to say, please fill up your calendars this week. Talk to as many people as you can. Deplete your social battery. We can rest next week. Thank you so much for being here. Perfect timing to have what an entrance. And please, everyone, have a fantastic week. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jen, for those incredible insights in highlighting the work that's happening here in the tech and innovation sector. Next up, I would like to everyone have your attention turned to the screen for a video from our presenting sponsor at the University of Calgary to highlight. And with that, I will invite Guy Levesque, the Executive Director of the Hunter Hub, up to the stage.
Those of you who are expecting President Macaulay to come, and those who know him, he likes to say really, really, so he's really, really sorry and disappointed because he really, really wanted to be here this afternoon to say hi, but unfortunately he's not able to come. So I'll be Dr. Macaulay for the next 2 minutes without the paisley tie. So thank you and good afternoon. Since 2022, the University of Calgary has been a proud sponsor and presenting sponsor of Innovation Week YYC. Because just like the startup founders who are sitting here, who are showcasing down there, builders, supporters, actors, all of the names that Jen just mentioned, we have created at the University of Calgary more startups in the last 6 years than any other Canadian university. In those 6 years, 105 have started they started, they grew, they were ideated at the University of Calgary, and they've helped Calgary as a city and as a community grow by leaps and bounds. In fact, since 2014, over 200, and that number is underreported, alumni have created companies that have raised over $3.4 billion. And it's not just our alumni. I look at this year's Nobel Prize in chemistry. Much of the work that inspired that Nobel Prize actually started here at the University of Calgary with Professor George Shimizu, who's all about metal organic frameworks, which are like things that create these capsules that capture carbon. I'm going to ad-lib here a little bit because George is Shimizu's former graduate student who used to run the Velocity Accelerator at the University of Waterloo, has come back to become the CEO of Existent, Professor Shimizu's latest startup to focus on carbon capture through these metal organic frameworks. But there's also a bunch of other drivers that helps our success as a startup economy. Creative Destruction Labs, Rockies have generated $8.5 billion in equity value and created more than 2,600 jobs since they've been created. We are home since last May to the XPRIZE Global Hub in Canada, the first XPRIZE hub outside of the US. And so you'll hear from their executive director, Sarah McCullough, I think on Wednesday late in the morning. So she's going to tell you a little bit about the XPRIZE hub here. Our campus is also home to the Hunter Hub for Entrepreneurial Thinking, where my colleague Guy Levesque, that's me, leads an amazing team to create an entrepreneurial epicenter at the University of Calgary. And in 2020, we made history by launching USeed, the biggest, most successful university seed fund in the country. Good. And so when we look at what's happened with the USeed fund, we've generated, the companies there in the 6 different funds have generated over 300 new jobs and $150 million in revenues. And the university just this year has surpassed a $600 million cap in research and innovation funding, so it puts us at number 5 in the country. So we attract the best scholars, the best entrepreneurs, the best people, and that's why the University of Calgary is a place to start something. And on that note, thank you for being here, and I look forward for Guy Levesque to participate on the panel in a few minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, I would like to invite Christopher Phillips, the Senior Director with the Opportunity Calgary Investment Fund.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Okay, I'm going to need everyone's help and participation with this. I'm excited to be back here. For many of you, I'm wearing a new hat. I was formerly at Thin Air Labs, and now I am the Senior Director at the Opportunity Calgary Investment Fund. Thank you. I kind of did it in reverse, but for those who don't know any more of my background, I came to Calgary because this is where the fastest ice in the world was back in 2003. I was a competitive speed skater, and after my skating career, I started a neuroscience charity. And fun fact about Calgary, if you don't know this, we are the most philanthropic city in the country. That's worth an applause. And I can see some of Calgary's top philanthropists in the audience today, actually. And the reason why this is so important for innovation is because that philanthropy, a lot of that goes into the R&D, the research and development that happens at the University of Calgary. And as you heard Jen and Guy talk about the University of Calgary being the most entrepreneurial city in the country, I mean, you see it start to all add up and work together and create these amazing statistics. So with saying that, what do you think about this vision? It takes approximately 2 Mississippis to read that line. We aspire to be the innovation capital of Canada. I'm so curious what that means for everybody and what you're envisioning, and would love to hear from you after and throughout the week at the various sessions. What does innovation mean? What does the innovation capital of Canada look like in Calgary? Now, my other question for everyone is, what do we think about a Canadian company that reaches valuation of $1 billion is a narwhal instead of a unicorn? Does that make sense? Okay. Megan, what do you think? She's marketing director at OSIF. How was that response? Is it worth rolling with?
Come on, guys.
Yeah? You have to be honest. Like, I want it to be like a thing, because as a marketing communication person myself, I don't know, Jen's looking at me like, if we're all into this, we can make this a common thing, and it can be a bigger thing than even a unicorn. So let's get some narwhals in this country. Does that sound good? I think it looks cool. So I want to talk a little bit about the innovation strategy for the city. Now, as you heard earlier, there is a lot of movement. There's a lot of momentum. Now, I want to stay in the optimism, and I want to stay on the positive and get this Innovation Week kick-started, but I also want to ground us with realism, because we are facing some challenges in innovation in the country, arguably. We need to continue to support our founders, give them the standing ovation that they deserve, because they are the heroes of our story. They are the reason that they're taking the big steps, the big challenges to make sure that these statistics continue to grow, and we can continue to be so proud with all of these numbers that we're putting up on the screen. Now, as I mentioned, I was a speed skater, then I started a charity, and then I co-founded Thin Air Labs Fund 1. And when I did, if you looked at the innovation sector beyond the university, it was tumbleweeds. There wasn't a whole lot of activity, there wasn't a lot of investment, there was a lot of risk aversion, and if you wanted to start a company, there was a good chance that you're either going to the States, or if you're in academia, you might just want to continue to climb the academic hierarchy or publish papers as you're incentivized to do. That is a different story now. And in fact, I was at the Hotchkiss Brain Institute just last week, and the whole conversation was about open science and commercializing your science. To have the Dr. David Park, the director of the Hotchkiss Brain Institute, talk about needing to commercialize is incredible, because that used to be a swear word in academia. So I'm really proud that this is all changing for the better. Now, with the work of Calgary Economic Development, there's a lot of smart people that are looking 10 to up to 50 years out, and looking at where are we right now? Where do we have infrastructure? Where do we have talent? Where do we have a right to win, and in which sector? Not only that, but if we do imagine ourselves as the most innovative city in the country, what does that look like, and how do we imagine that so that we can start working towards it now? So as you can see on the screen, we've identified areas where we have a right to win. These are sector focus areas. I'm sure many of them are no surprise to you. These are often the usual suspects in Calgary. And just like in life sciences, for example, there are even subsectors like health and human performance. I like to point that one out because it's obviously my bias, having been an athlete and working in neuroscience. Now, identifying the sectors is one thing, and then we have what's called nodes, because if you start to think about these sectors and where we have a critical mass of expertise, infrastructure, you can actually start to visualize where the subject matter experts and players within that sector co-work and coexist and live. Now, it's not like we're exclusively, if you're working in aerospace, you have to be working near the airport, but for sure there's an organic collection of that type of expertise. So does this look pretty accurate to everyone? No surprises? Yeah, I agree. Okay, thank you. Thanks, George. Okay, so now we have sector focus areas, and then we have nodes, which is the geographic focus of those sectors. Now we have what's called a hub. Now we already have the Life Sciences Innovation Hub, and naturally it's near the University of Calgary. And what is a hub? It's sort of outlined here on this slide. Not only do you have peer-to-peer support networks, you have access to, say it's the Ag Hub, you have accountants. I didn't even know this, but there are accountants, there are marketing people that works exclusively on just agriculture. That kind of corporate access is really important when you have those natural collisions within a bricks and mortar center. There's also programming support specific to that sector, funding support, super important, and then of course prototyping support. So whether it's maker spaces or areas where people can collaborate in the life sciences space, having wet labs, this is really important and natural for those cross-sector collaborations as well. Now, if I go back to my neuroscience days, and I'm not a neuroscientist, I just funded them, they say that neurons that fire together wire together, and we're taking that same neuroscience philosophy and we're saying nodes that fire together wire together. And what we mean by that is by having all of that critical mass of expertise in all of these areas of focus, that's one thing. But now if we can go to the treetops and look at, okay, we have a new biomedical technology that reads your biometrics, call it an Aura ring. And this is an amazing ring that was first adopted by elite athletes. This was what was going to optimize their human performance. And then all of a sudden, someone like my dad with his aging heart needs to know whether his heart is going into AFib or not. Now we have a medical device. And then I was talking to a farmer about this technology, and the farmer says, actually, my cows wear something similar because they need to know their biometrics, and I need to know how much feed or which antibiotics to give them. And you're probably understanding now how natural and organic this can be. In fact, on Thursday, unfortunately, it competes with Launch Party, so everyone go to Launch Party, but there's another event. There is another event called Your Brain and Art. It's my charities event, Branch Out Foundation, and we actually pair up neuroscientists with artists, like locally famous artists like the Mandy Stobos of the world, and they have a conversation, and then the artist goes home and they create net new art that tells the story of the neuroscience funded by Branch Out. What a cool cross-sector overlap opportunity to using art in the creative industries to be able to tell complex stories about science in the life sciences sector. Okay, now OSIF. OSIF, you can consider it a tool for economic development. Now, what does economic development mean? I don't know if I could have really answered that when I got this job 5 months ago, but what we measure are jobs created, and up until since 2018 when OSIF was started, with the first $100 million, there were 3,600 jobs created. There were over 900 companies supported, and over 5,000 Calgarians trained. All of these things are what build a more resilient and growing economy in Calgary. Now our three buzzwords, find, fuel, and foster. So we go out there and we find programs that help with the resilience of the economy, to grow the economy, and then we fuel them with non-dilutive capital. And in some cases it's dilutive if it's a fund. And then we also foster. So once an organization is funded, we work to build real relationships. And this is one of those Calgarian cultures I want to preserve. You know, the handshake deals, the relationships versus just connections. This is real, and we all take it so seriously, and I want to make sure that that continues forward. Just a few examples. So Thin Air Labs is one of the venture capital funds funded. So I used to be on the other side of OSIF. This, as you may know, is a venture capital firm that started, I think we were 2022 or so, officially. We invested in 21 companies. One of them, I'm just going to use one of the darling success stories from Thin Air Labs, which is Nanotest. Has anyone heard of Nanotest? Yeah. So Nanotest is, I'm going to butcher it, but you can think of it as a really strong, potent polysporin. It's manufactured here in Calgary. They started out at BioHub, helping make BioHub a success, and then they graduated from there, and they have their very own space in Northeast Calgary. You may even see them from Deerfoot Trail, a big sign that says Nanotest. And if you don't see their facility, you might see their little sample at the pharmacy when you go pick up your Vicks cough drops. Pretty cool to see that, and when we want to be the most innovative city in the country, it's those kinds of companies, when we're seeing them, those are the ones we should choose to support. Another darling investment of OSIF is called TKS, the Knowledge Society, and these are our high school students who are upskilled and trained, and just like I was trained to skate in circles as fast as I could from a young age, they were trained to be an entrepreneur at a young age, and many people have gone on to graduate and now work for NASA or are better public speakers than some of the professional TED talkers that I've seen before. It's incredible work that they're doing, and they're in our own city. And then of course I mentioned the Life Sciences Innovation Hub. Okay, so that is OSIF, that is Calgary Economic Development, and our innovation strategy. How does that sound to everybody? Are we all in this together? Because we sure can't do it alone. That's very nice to hear. Thank you very much. I don't know if we have any time for questions. How are we doing? If we have any. What's my name? My name's Crystal Phillips. Okay, we'll take one question. One single question. We don't even have questions.
What gets you excited about the future of innovation in Calgary?
What gets me excited about the future of innovation in Calgary? Okay, so I just had my very first trip to San Fran, and I was there for just a few days, but it was a very San Fran experience. You could just breathe the innovation in the air, like you could smell it. It was amazing, it was everywhere. And just having coffee, you could hear the next table, they were talking about building a robotics company, and just for fun, they had a robotics fight night on Thursday evenings. And, and someone else overheard them talking, and they went up to their table and they're like, hey, and you could just see this like collaboration. I wasn't quite skilled at eavesdropping at that point, but it was just kind of a neat thing to see. And as much as we get to see that in places like Platform so often, or the University of Calgary, I would love to see that happen on the regular throughout the city, wherever we go, and be a part of it. I call it work-life integration. So regardless of whether you're working in your job or whether it's just your side hustle for fun, we're all a part of the innovation ecosystem. Great question. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Crystal, for that great overview. Next up, we're going to move into a bit of a panel discussion. So I'm going to invite our panelists to come up and join me on stage, Yi, Prab, and Deb. And I'm going to hand it back to Jen Lucy as your moderator for this panel.
I did my job.
Well, welcome everyone. Yeah, I'm super excited about this little chat we're going to have here today. Just by quick way of introduction, please welcome, and just in order here, as you already know, Guy Levesque, Executive Director of the Hunter Hub at the University of Calgary, Deb Gedlin, President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, and Prab Paul Pamar, Founder, CEO, and Chief Laughter Officer, by the way, of TraceRent. And TraceRent is a startup that, and I'm going to butcher this so you can fix me here, a startup that optimizes pricing for landlords and property managers to help them lower their vacancies and maximize their revenues.
Absolutely. We don't call them landlords anymore. We call them rental housing providers.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. Well, let's get right into it. We're going to start with more of a personal kind of question for each of you here. So wondering, like, what was your first entry point or your connection, your personal connection into tech here in the city? So what does that story look like from your seat? So why don't we go down the row here? Guy, kick us off. Oh, I guess you need a microphone.
Well, I'll talk about my first connection to the University of Calgary. For about 4 years now, I've been secretly coveting the University of Calgary. I've spent a lot of time in universities in my career. And in my last job, I was trying to emulate who I thought was the very best in the country. And that happened to be the University of Calgary. I mean, what's happened in the last 5 years here has been just tremendous. Crystal talked about those numbers a little bit, and so did you. I wanted to come to a place where my efforts could have the maximum impact, and there's no better place than Calgary for that.
Love it. Thank you.
So I first connected with the innovation ecosystem when the oil price crashed in 2014. So you'll remember, everybody, I mean, this still is a very energy-focused city, but all of a sudden there was a chatter that started, and it was about how do we diversify Calgary so that we're more resilient and we're not as vulnerable to the swings in commodity prices that we have absolutely no control over. So I started hanging around the rainforest. I started to hang out at Nucleus. I overheard a lot of interesting conversations, and I was writing about them. I was trying to figure out who was doing what, where, how, what kind of support they were getting, what they needed for talent and funding. And then Creative Destruction Lab started. And from there, things really started to take off, and it gave me a lot more to write about until I became chancellor, and then I had another view of the technology sector and how things are changing and growing within the city.
And so as already mentioned, my relationship's pretty tight. I'm the startup on the panel. 5 years, 2 ventures, 1 venture-backed, 2 companies, 1 venture-backed, the other one's Trace right now. We work on the Canadian housing supply issue. You know, I think so we have boots on the ground, right? So we've got to build product, building team, meeting clients, got to get everything rolling. So pretty much the front row seat. Jen, for us, we're living it every day.
Thank you. All right. So let's go back, and you know we've kind of talked about the growth in the last 5 years. Let's go back a little bit farther. Deb, we're going to start with you. So your amazing career from business columnist to chancellor of the university, leading the chamber. You've seen a lot of booms, a lot of busts, a lot of bubbles, and from multiple seats as well. So when you think about why Calgary, what do you think is that most historical shift that's happened, that's kind of paved the way for the tech boom that we're seeing now? Or what are some of the things that we might have learned or borrowed from the past, 15 years, perhaps from the energy industry, that are helping tech today?
Well, I would start with the fact that everybody in the city has some sort of a science or finance background. And so that means everybody's a solution. They're looking for solutions. They're looking to solve problems, and they're also looking to manage risk. And there's a history in the energy sector. Used to be that if you wanted to start up a junior oil and gas company, you mortgage your house, you get your parents to mortgage their house, you get your friends to mortgage their house, and hopefully you had a break even in short order to start paying your investors out. So you have a very risk-adjusted and risk-oriented mindset that's already here. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have grown the energy sector to where it is today. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, we've finally come around to the perspective that science is science, finance is finance. You're not in a silo. You can actually apply what you know, no matter what, across all industries. And so that's part of what's underpinning the foundation for what we have today and what continues to grow. But arguably, the inflection point for me, 2014, the oil price crashes. Up until 2014, everybody in this city would get up in the morning, they'd listen to the radio or look at what was going on the TV, and they'd see what the price for WTI was, maybe what the price for heavy oil at Hardisty. You'd look at the price for natural gas, AECO and in the U.S., and off you'd go. I got enough information to get me through the day. I know where things are going. I know what might happen at my company. Oil price crashes, and everybody goes, uh-oh, now we have to do something different. And the biggest thing that changes is we get a bunch of people into the Petroleum Club one night, led by one individual in Calgary who's actually a doctor. He's not an engineer. And he says, okay, this is it. We have to diversify, and we're going to start this process by raising money tonight, and they did, to establish the Creative Destruction Labs chapter at the University of Calgary. And then all of a sudden, you get a shift in the mindset, because what's happened in Calgary is because of the royalty trust cycle, where people could start up energy companies and sell them to a larger producer, there was a lot of wealth generated in the city in a very short time frame. That meant people had time to provide mentorship and capital to a startup community. And those are the people, and they continue to be the people who are sitting and serving as mentors to the companies that have come through the CDL program. And I think that changed a mindset. We can believe in ourselves. We can do different things. We can harness the technology mindset. We can harness the science knowledge that we have, the finance knowledge that we have, the risk-taking knowledge that we have, and put it in different directions, into different sectors. It's not just about energy. And because of the combination of the capital and the mentorship that these young folks have, or not so young folks in some cases, have access to, we have the most successful CDL chapter in the country. So that tells you exactly where we've come in 8 years, and Guy gave us those statistics: $8 billion in value, and how many? I can't remember how many. 260 jobs, I think he said. Yeah. Anyway, it's just fundamentally a very profound shift in what's happened in this city, and so we're continuing to build on it because we have the success, the track record. Now the focus is, okay, how do we scale? What does that look like? How can we make sure that some of these smaller companies that we've got through the sort of the proof phase, the development phase, now we got to scale them up. And I think that's the next thing that we really have to focus on as a city and as a country. We need to unlock that capital, and we need to make sure that we provide the support for those scale-ups so that they're not thinking about their first market being in the US, it's actually in Canada. And so that's the next thing. And finally, I just want to say, because of the sometimes merciless nature of the energy sector, we've also learned to deal with failure. And I often see Calgary as the city of second chances. There are a lot of people here, probably in this audience, who've started, failed, started again. Let me tell you, there's a lot of those stories in the energy sector too. And people have backed people, lost money, backed them again, made money. And so we do give people a second chance in this city, and we're always willing to talk to people and listen to their ideas and make connections. And so, you know, Crystal talked about Calgary being the most philanthropic city in the country. Guy and I had this conversation when he came to Calgary, and I said, what's so great about this? It was just after Stampede Week. He said, I can't believe the number of meetings I've had already, because everybody here is willing to connect you to somebody else who's willing to listen to your idea. That doesn't happen anywhere else in Canada. You're one call away. Can you connect me with X? Maybe you're 2 calls away, but you get that connection, and then it's up to you to make it happen. So an open-minded city, a city that has that science background, that sort of fundamental acceptance that there is risk associated with what you have to do, access to capital, access to mentorship, and a willingness to make a difference, and a desire to really make a difference and change the way things are. So that's Calgary.
Well said, well said.
Woo-hoo.
Okay, we're going to shift gears though and go over to you, Guy. So UBC is known as Canada's entrepreneurial university. Hunter Hub, CDL is celebrating 9 years. The UCED, I have this stat here, second most active investor in Canada for the first half of 2025 from UCED. Nicely done. And we all know how incredibly hard it is to take a startup, to get something past an idea into launch, get on a path to become a high growth venture. Can you talk a little bit more about how the Hunter Hub is helping startups that are forming out of UC, that they need to commercialize, raise capital, attract talent, scale, and how can we ensure that they can do all these things and stay anchored in Calgary? Big question.
So the Hunter Hub is just one place, one space that helps create a particular environment. We like to call it the epicenter of all things entrepreneurial at the University of Calgary. But we're just one of many, many actors. And so our job really is to, and I in the panel this morning, I talked about the 4 words that kind of drive our mission, which is to ignite, inspire, empower, and equip. And it's really about giving the right guidance at the right time. There are millions of different entrepreneurial journeys, from the first day, first year undergraduate to the professor who's been in the lab for 25 years. All have very different needs, very different expectations, and they start from very different points. Very early on when I joined the Hunter Hub on November 25th last year, the main question that was asked is, well, should we focus on undergraduate mentorship and education? Should we focus on startups? Should we focus on tech startups? Should we focus on... And my answer was yes. Part of what we need to do is to create a community of entrepreneurially focused, entrepreneurially interested, entrepreneurially curious individuals, and give them the right start. And so, you know, we have this beautiful 4th floor at the Hunter Student Commons right in the middle of campus at the University of Calgary. It's the biggest space dedicated to entrepreneurship in any Canadian university. And in fact, when MIT was here and Yale were here just a month ago when we hosted the International Global Consortium of Entrepreneurship Centers, they said, we don't even have spaces like this. So we really have a special place. And part of our job is to create a community, to create a sense of placemaking so that people want to be there. You know, I kind of talk about it as a third space. About a month ago, the Calgary Chamber had an event, and Avenue Calgary had an event and talked about third spaces. The Hunter Hub is really unique because it's agnostic. It's not part of a faculty or a department or school. You get to meet people from all 13 faculties and schools. You get to meet alumni who've been there, done that, who share their successes and also their failures. And so all of a sudden we're creating by leaps and bounds over the last year a community of individuals who are all at different stages of their entrepreneurial journey who can look up to role models. Deb just talked about 1 or 2 calls away from somebody who's willing to give their time. In all the other universities I've been in my career, I describe them as linear. You get in, you do your stuff, you get out, and you get a job. What's really unique about the University of Calgary is what I call the circularity. And it's not about the Olympic Oval, and it's not about the Stampede. It's about people giving back and understanding the importance of paying it forward and giving back. I call these the virtuous circles of entrepreneurship. So creating that place where the Hunter Hub is actually entering into partnerships and becoming the first customer of a startup, whether that's Carbon Stone Design or other companies that come out of the Hunter Hub at the University of Calgary, that sends a really powerful signal that we're there to support you and back you, not just in the initial training and workshops and activities and the space that you come into, but that you're part of something bigger and that you're part of a community and that we're all wanting to win. The other really interesting thing about this community and why I covet it so much is the concept of a zero-sum game doesn't exist here. Every other community I've worked in, people feel if I win, you lose. If you win, I lose. Here, everybody's rooting for each other, and because a rising tide raises all boats. I get that same feeling every day that I go to work, and every time that I come to Platform or that I go to an event in the city. And what we want to do is make sure that circularity exists on our floor. It's a place, it's a community, and then you don't want to leave.
I love it. I couldn't agree more with the placemaking is so, the importance of place is critical as to what we do here as well, and how it can connect and gather a community. Deb, just on kind of what Guy was saying there, and going to pick up on what you said about finding first customers. From your seat at the chamber, what do you think we could do to help those startups that are looking for their first proof of customer or pilot? What are your thoughts on how we can support?
So we convened at the chamber last week a tech roundtable to hear from people in the tech community to understand what barriers they're facing and what we could do to help them. And one of the things that came up, of course, one is talent. The other one is procurement. How do we make sure that we help make those connections? And the Calgary Chamber is the convener and connector for the Calgary business community writ large. And we have connections to all levels of government, and we are very active in speaking to them in terms of what they need to do to support our startups and our scale-ups. So what we do is, advocate on their behalf at all levels of government. What we did here was people just don't want to go through the process because it takes so long. It's like, why bother? It's all this money that's gone, and then they default to finding that first customer south of the border. So that's the one thing that we have to continue to change. The other piece is, the access to capital formation still happens to be a challenge. Because we are innovators from a capital standpoint, this is the city that started flow-through shares. We started something called special warrants. Both of those financial instruments help fund the junior oil and gas companies and help them to grow. And then we started the royalty trust. So we know how to do this. And from a capital standpoint, we talk a lot about how we need to adopt the flow-through share mechanism that has been applied to the resource sector to the tech sector, so that people can actually raise money through using flow-through shares and access capital that way. So that's the second thing. And of course, the third one is just the tax treatment as well, making sure that when you invest in R&D, there's actually more favorable tax treatment, because right now we don't have enough investment from the private sector into innovation, into research. And we need to change that, because if we don't do that, we continue to fall behind relative to the other countries in the G20. So let's figure out what we need to do from a tax standpoint and get the governments to listen. So those are the chamber's tasks, and we fly back and forth to Ottawa and talk to province on a regular basis.
Fantastic. We don't want to mess with Deb. She's got this.
When I get cranky, it's not good.
Yeah. Rob, we're going to just flip to you for a second. So let's just go back in time. When you were first, early starting out, what do you think that the most critical things that you needed to get your business going and off the ground? What was the one or two things you needed?
So I think most of at the early startup stage, a lot of people think you need access to capital, and then that's going to resolve a lot of problems. I think so. It's been conversations and discussions and mentoring. Like, I don't know if this is back in the COVID had just stuck in, and then so Calgary Chamber of Commerce had gone online. I did subscribe to their membership, went through the members directory, shot emails to each one of them, started seeking time virtually or physically, whatever would in-person meet. And then there were so many who were willing to chat and have a discussion. And then the discussion wasn't around capital. The discussion wasn't around, hey, if you can get me a client. But it was to understand from industry leaders really what the pain point was. And then conversations like those are needed. And just not from industry, from academia, right? We've gone to University of Calgary so many times from different departments and spoken to deans, to assistant professors, and so on. So in our opinion, that was the key thing for us. Till date, we get trained. Paula's right there. I'll root for her. I don't know how many times we've gone through that training program, right? So it's important to kind of get your skill set in place and then get that real feedback. And just not a positive encouragement, but the real feedback, people who can question you on your ideas and the way that you wish to conduct.
Thank you. We're going to stick with you. And we're going to start by talking about choice. So you could have chosen any major city in North America, but you picked Calgary to build and scale Trace Rent. And I just want to emphasize that it has a massive impact. It's not just a single company. It's the employees, it's the mortgages, it's the professional services, it's the groceries, it's the schools, it's going to Wild FC games, it's living here. It is a gift to our city that you are here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Seriously. And one company can have such an incredible economic and social spin out. It's really inspiring. So what was the big aha moment or the main reason that you decided to pick Calgary?
Right, so Jen, for us, frankly, it's not always about the mountains. But, I'd been, fortunately for me, I'd been to Calgary before, a couple of times before, and the first time was in peak winters, so I really knew what I was signing up for. But on a serious note, I think so startup is all about people. And then with people, we all juggle between work, family, friends, health. And then Calgary's got that perfect fine balance where you can manage all four very well. Now, I'm not comparing one city to another, but then other cities would have excelled at one aspect or another. But I say it confidently, they don't have that right mix of all these four things. And now it's no more unique ideas, it's more about unique execution. And I say it proudly again, look at Platform. That's a perfect unique execution. It's about the people again. Not many of you would not talk about this, but back in the COVID time, 2020, 21, we were all learning how to, do our work virtually, get on Zoom calls. Everything was new. But you had, Jen, it was you, Madeline, we had Bilal, admin team Pam, David, Terry, there was everybody. They were coming in physically at the center. It was at the Alistair Ross Tech Center at that time, and they would just come in to check how startups were doing. And the point is, that's not an ecosystem, that's the community. What else could you ask for, right? And then that's the support that a startup needs. It's not the sheer capital like I mentioned before.
Thank you. So back to Deb and Guy. Something maybe we haven't already said, but how do we keep attracting global talent like Prav, and how do we keep him here in Calgary scaling his company?
Well, we keep growing the ecosystem and providing the support and making sure that, it is a place where you want to stay, and it's not just about, access to capital is important, but it's also about talent, and it's also about placemaking. I think one thing we sort of sometimes think we have to get the talent here and then we sort of backfill everything else. We also have to continue to make Calgary an interesting place for people to come and stay. So that's why investing in infrastructure is really important. That's why investing in things like Arts Commons, the Glenborough Museum, the new Events Center, and I'm missing one. There's 4.
Music? Did you say the music center?
So we need to make sure that there's places for people to enjoy, to continue to build community, and that's how we continue to grow the city and to attract the talent that we need. I think that's kind of sacrosanct, and we continue to support the University of Calgary and make sure that everybody is connected in a way that fosters that continued growth and engagement.
Any thoughts?
The very best entrepreneurial talent pipeline is here in Calgary, across the country, without a doubt. And that pipeline just doesn't start with our post-secondary institutions. It starts in high schools and primary and elementary, and it starts in our community. And so that's what we've got going for us. We have tremendous leadership in our city, in the private sector, in the public sector, in our community organizations, and not just people who've been around forever, but our youth are put in positions of leadership regularly and are shining. We just had one of our U Calgary employees become one of the most recent counselors. So leadership, youthful energy, alignment. The city and the province is really well aligned on our views around innovation and growing and becoming the economic engine for the country. So for all those reasons, I'm one of 100,000 people who in the last 16 months decided to pull up stakes from Ottawa to come to Calgary and spend the rest of my time on earth here. So yeah.
So glad you did, Guy. All right, so we have in the audience, we've got founders, we've got builders, we've got ecosystem partners, we've got students. We're going to just rapid fire down the way here. What's one piece of advice or one thing you want this audience to do this week to contribute to the Why Calgary story? I think either way. If you got something, go.
Meet 3 new people every day.
Excellent.
Be curious and understand, always ask questions to find out what those 3 people are doing, because you never know where that could lead to in terms of a collaboration or a new idea.
Bring it home, Rob, come on.
Right, I'm not going to keep it that concise.
Wait, you're the sweet batter, I'm just saying.
Cheers. No, but honestly, keep the conversations real. Now I've got a colleague, Adam, I don't know if he's here today, but the first time we ever met, it was a simple pleasantry, hi, how are you? And I said, I'm good. And he said, no, you're not. What's wrong? Speak to me, talk to me. And then trust me that conversation went for about 45 minutes right here. And now we work together, right? And one thing I've learned that in Calgary, in this very city, it's beyond the business cards. Make that relationship, be honest. You've got this week now, try and see, listen and try and see how you can help somebody else one step at a time. And I'm sure life's a full circle, you'll get that back very soon. Right?
Love it.
Yeah. And I just want to say this Innovation Week dovetails with CDL Week. And so this is really a great opportunity to really highlight what's going on in the city, how we're contributing to a national ecosystem from an innovation and technology startup standpoint across a whole bunch of different sectors. So this is actually a really cool week. And when I think back to sitting at the nucleus and wondering where this was all going to go, what's going on today is something I wouldn't have imagined. So Yahoo, yay us, let's keep going.
It does kind of feel like Stampede for Tech this week.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And it also dovetails with USeed's 5th anniversary party.
That's
on
right,
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Yep.
Well,
Yep,
I'm
yep.
feeling the love for Why Calgary here. Just thank you, Deb, Guy, and Prab, for your time here today, and thank you for the conversation. Thanks.
Thank you everyone for joining us for the official kickoff of Innovation Week. I just want to quickly plug and highlight, if you have not gotten your ticket for launch party yet, it's happening here at the Innovation Center on Thursday from 5:30 to 8:30. And this is truly our signature event of this week and the largest celebration of the momentum in this sector. This event really is for everyone. We're featuring food, drinks, the networking opportunities that the panel mentioned, and interactive experiences throughout the evening. So if you have not gotten your ticket, again, you can scan the QR code there or find it on the Calgary Innovation website as well. And the fun is not over. We are inviting everyone to stick around for the Top 10 Showcase, which Jen mentioned earlier, featuring the top 10 startups. The official program is starting at 4:30, and you won't want to miss this event because you can also vote for the Community Choice Award. So please stick around. You can make your way to the West Hall for those networking opportunities prior to that session happening. Panelists, please stay on the stage. We'd love to get a quick photo of you guys before we take off. And please also sign up for the other workshops, the panels, everything that's happening in Innovation Week, and enjoy and make those connections.